to the off cycle. Continuing on today with the Pursuit 2270 transom. I have the hull, the taper ground on the hull, as well as the back skin, and I have it set up in place as you can see right now. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is kind of just tab it in a few areas, and that will allow me to go in and further grind it and get a little bit better grind. I'll go ahead and flip around and show you what we've got so far. So like I said, we've got the back panel on the hull, and the back panel itself has the tapered grind on it, and I just using scrap aluminum pieces I had. I just screwed in to the actual panel itself. I didn't screw into the boat itself, but all that's doing is taking the gel coat surfaces and making them level. So the whole back of the back of the boat is still going to be all level, and this panel will go back in. To hold it up, I just have this bar here clamped as a leveler, and then it's clamped to the actual hull itself. So this is what's actually holding everything up. I'm not putting any extra screws or anything into the hull that I don't really need to, and we'll then have to fill and all that. I'm trying to avoid putting screws in as much as possible. And then anywhere, if it was like down here, it was like maybe 1/8 of an inch pulling out, so I just drilled a hole, put a piece of here, and then on both sides have bungee, just keeping the tension forward on everything to make it nice and square. But you can get an idea of the taper, the triangle shaped taper that we have going on by looking at the gap between the straight edges and where the taper is. So that's pretty good. It's definitely a 1/4 inch or more of taper. But like I said, I think I'm going to tab it in a few places that the taper is really good, and then grind out a little bit deeper, a little bit farther away, just to give me a little bit more meat when I go ahead and glass this back in and I get the fill going. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm going to get some 1708 and make a couple tabs and get this thing started. All right, we've got got this tabbed in several different areas, and then this tab, all the edges sanded down, so when I lay over top of this, I don't have any air gap or anything there, so it's a nice smooth transition. But those tabs really just kind of holding everything in place and have it cured to where it's level, as far as with the existing hull and the gel coat area is level. So I've got all my spacers removed. It's still being held in up here via this clamp system, and right now I've got everything cut for the first layer. It's going to be 4 1/4 inches wide, and I have a second layer that is cut at 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now and try to get the first 2 layers in, and then if I have time to keep on going, I'll keep on going from there. I'd like to do this all at one time and get this all laid up at the same time, but I may not have enough resin to do that, so I may end up having to stop, and then I'll have to sand it down and then continue on it tomorrow. But we're gonna get going on it right now. All right, so I did get the first 2 layers of glass on there. First layer was firming up a little more than I would have liked, but you know, this is kind of a lot of glass work to be doing, these long strips and everything, with just one person, with it's kind of sitting here directly in the sun. It's not a super hot day today, but it is directly in the sun, so I'm gonna have to wait for this to cure out, and then I will sand it down flat and continue on either later this evening or more than likely tomorrow. It's cool, so I'm worried about the dew point and the moisture setting on the glass before it's fully cured, so I'll probably wait till tomorrow when the sun is up to get this thing layered up, and a couple more layers on it. It's one area right here I'm not happy with, so it looks like that may have peeled up a little more than I'd like, so that'll probably just get all the way ground out and grind out that whole little area there. It looks like a fairly good air bubble underneath it, but the 1708 can be tricky to see if you've got good saturation, because some of the 1708, it never really turns transparent. It kind of stays white, and you can mistake that for air underneath it. But a couple of these seams here, I just butted these seams up, and then I will sand those down flat. Rather than to have a gap, I just kind of butt the seams, and then I sand them down flat and go back over them.